The refs couldn't steal this one. After all the frustration of Game 1's controversial officiating, the Indiana Fever stormed Gainbridge Fieldhouse and never looked back, crushing the Atlanta Dream in a defensive masterclass in Game 2 of the WNBA playoffs. It was their first playoff win in almost 10 years, with Caitlin Clark cheering from the sidelines. Yet, with 5 players out, this was more than just a win. It was proof the Fever could rise from adversity. And when Aliyah Boston finally spoke post-game, her words captured the very heartbeat of this team. You won't want to miss what she revealed. If you're fired up, then comment, "Let's go Fever. Let's go. Game 3, baby. Game 3. See you in Atlanta. Not done yet. One more jumps in the chat, baby. Come on. Come on. Hey. Need that. One more game, baby. One more game." Fans didn't just walk into Game 2 ready for playoff basketball. They walked in carrying anger. The way Game 1 ended still stung, with whistles that felt one-sided and moments that looked like the deck was stacked against Indiana. People were calling it robbery. And the mood wasn't just frustration, it was disbelief. When you play your heart out and feel like officials tilted the balance, it's easy to lose focus. Now, this one on Lexi Hall got me riled up because this was early on in the game, and this was probably the best defense that Lexi could have played. If you watch this play here, Ryan Howard is going down. Lexi Hall is guarding her. Ryan goes behind her back. Lexi doesn't touch her because she's backpedaling the whole time. She has her hand straight up. Like, this is really good defense that Lexi played here. And here's where it gets interesting. Indiana not only had to deal with that outrage, but also the fact that 5 players were out. The weight on their shoulders could have crushed them before the ball even tipped. Head coach Stephanie White knew exactly what was at stake. Before the game, she spoke about that missing ingredient in Game 1, saying, "There's got to be a desperation that you play with and a sense of urgency that you play with at all times." That wasn't just coach speak. It was a challenge. She was calling for a gut check. There's a certain desperation that has to come with how you play every possession. I didn't feel like in Game 1 we played with that desperate, mentality that we needed. Particularly when you look at 50-50 balls, when you look at how many times, we didn't get inside the 3-point line for a defensive rebound, and the ball hit the floor, and they were able to get it. There's got to be a desperation that you play with and a sense of urgency that you play with at all times. We didn't have that consistently for 40 minutes in Game 1. I expect us to have it here tonight. What we saw from Indiana wasn't a shrugging off of bad luck. It was a full embrace of pressure. They didn't fold. They committed themselves to a performance that nobody could take away in the box score. No matter how the officiating went, Stephanie White wants to see her go downhill, be more aggressive offensively. This is a great matchup. Boston against Jones. Just a fun matchup between 2 big posts with size with good. From the opening possession, the Fever created a tone that left the refs irrelevant. They scored first, defended without hesitation, and before Atlanta could even steady themselves, Indiana had control. For the first time since 2002, the Fever went wire to wire in a playoff win. Not one lead change, no ties, just complete control for 40 minutes. Think about that. That's how you silence the storyline hanging over from Game 1. You erase every window for controversy. This is the other how Natasha for Indiana. Powers with the board, goes up. Tough one and got it. The defense turned the game. Atlanta, a team that thrives on perimeter shooting, couldn't breathe against Indiana's pressure. In the first half, the Dream shot 1 for 10 from deep. By the end of the night, the numbers hardly improved, finishing 5 for 19 from 3 and under 40% overall from the field. Their rhythm was gone. Every possession looked rushed. Indiana dictated everything, and the refs, they had no game to dictate. Great job. That was a masterclass on the defensive end of our. It really was. It really was. I'm so proud of you. Stepped up to the challenge. Back against the wall. And our back is against the wall every game. But y'all look, I'm proud of you. Oh, we ain't finished though, right? We ain't finished. Take way to be ready. The second half, your aggressiveness. It was a difference maker. What it opens up with the gravity that you create is huge for us. You got to stay aggressive. Applause. At the same time, the crowd wasn't just loud. They were fierce. Gainbridge Fieldhouse sounded alive. And it wasn't lost on anyone that Caitlin Clark was right there on the bench standing and clapping, fueling that energy like an extra gear in the building. Even though she couldn't be on the court, Her presence tied the team and fans together. When the clock expired, the win stood as much more than 1-1 in a series. It was proof this team could control their destiny instead of watching it slip away. Redemption after heartbreak. But what truly carried Indiana to this moment wasn't just a single hot hand. It was the way everyone stepped forward at the same time. For Kelsey Mitchell, Lexi Hull, and Aliyah Boston, this wasn't just another game. This was their very first playoff game on Indiana's home floor. A milestone moment that carried extra weight since this franchise hadn't hosted postseason basketball since 2016. But walking into Gainbridge Fieldhouse came with pressure because Caitlin Clark was ruled out for the season. Sophie Cunningham was missing. Sydney Carlson was unavailable. Chloe BBY couldn't play, and Ari McDonald was also sidelined. That is 5 players gone before tip-off. A rotation squeezed thin in the most important game of the year. The question was obvious: who would step into that void? And they have allowed her in their half-court sets so far to just take open drive to the rim. There's the 3. I think fans didn't appreciate how good Kelsey Mitchell is, and they're certainly getting an eyeful this year. Here she goes. She started by Petty. Takes it right to the basket and misses. It's a head for Mitchell. The answer came from the player who has been holding it down for years. Kelsey Mitchell didn't just play well. She carried the offensive load with a game-high 19 points. She drained 4 three-pointers, many of them momentum shots that stretched the lead and made Atlanta chase all night. Without Clark's usual gravity on the floor, Mitchell had to create her own offense and command defensive attention every trip down. And she embraced it. This was her stage, her home playoff debut, and she made sure the crowd had plenty to cheer about. Kelsey, you've had a lot of moments with this franchise throughout the years. Where does leading them to a playoff win at home kind of rank among those? Oh, it takes a village. I think we all piggyback off each other within our group and in our organization. So, I think it took a collective group effort to be able to be here. And I think that I think our first win here was big for us because we've been resilient throughout the course of the year. And it was just I don't know.